Welcome to the first episode of Shape Up with Jacob. My name's Jacob. I'll be your host today. Today we have a special guest. He's a YouTube creator, Twitch streamer, creative, barber, and most importantly, my cousin, my blood, my family. His name is Isaac Martinez. Come on over, dude.
What's up, man? Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Dude, you're here.
I'm excited.
Finally, bro. We've been dreaming about this moment for a minute, huh?
Long time. Yeah, man. We talk about this all the time. I'm just gonna have fun today, you know? I'm just gonna have fun.
And we're back. Dude, Isaac.
What's up?
So, welcome. Real
Thanks
quick,
for
talk
having
about
me.
your hair.
Oh yeah.
I kind of have a rough draft here, but
Okay.
I know that you said maybe we'd take some of the sides off the sides here.
Yeah, so I mean, I typically just go for like a medium length haircut. I've honestly been playing with the idea of having kind of longer tapers on the side just to keep it short for the summer. We're in AZ, obviously, it's so hot, dude. So honestly, other than that, I just kind of want the sides to be blended in a little bit more, and then I like to play with the waves I have on top. So
Boom.
Is there any way we could work with that?
I have the vision, baby. Let's go. For the people that don't know Isaac, let us know who you are, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Phoenician. I was born and raised in Arizona here. Obviously, Jacob and I are cousins, and we grew up together. He's a big mentor of mine. Kind of helped put me in the position I'm in today as far as the career path I chose. And, you know, I grew up kind of using gaming as an escape to get away from reality, as most nerdy gamers do. I love watching adult cartoons. Many people call it anime. And honestly, I found the craft as simple as what you're doing now to be super fun and entertaining to me, and I think that's kind of the type of person I tend to be.
I gotta ask you a question.
Of course.
When you say anime, do you mean hentai? Or
You know what's funny is that's actually a more common question when you introduce that idea to people, and I don't know where that comes from, but I could imagine it's somewhere in the realm of people watching that for pleasure, but I don't partake in that. I think it's fucking weird, to be honest, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. You can never say never, I guess, right?
We just got our title, Discussing How Isaac Feels About Hentai.
First guest, Isaac talks about hentai, barbering, and gaming.
So real quick, dude, talk to me about your hair. What would you like to do?
Oh yeah, so honestly, I was just playing with the idea of just having like shorter tapers on the side. It's just hot out here in Arizona, so I'm trying to just let that grow out process take a little longer and just look stylish. Of course, you know how to do it best.
Thank you, sir.
But I think other than that, dude, I just kind of want to play with the waves on top and just kind of clean up like the side sections here, the section 3, and just kind of let that blend in a little bit more and just keep kind of the classic cut, maybe rounded in the back.
I'm gonna run like maybe a 3-2 taper.
I think that'll look good.
Bring everything in together.
Perfect. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
And for the guests that are listening, I mean, obviously Isaac's talking barber talk, so
yeah.
That kind of brings me into, you're a barber.
I am, dude.
How did you get started in that industry?
You know, dude, I was working construction prior to becoming a barber, and I think just again in Arizona, it being so hot and miserable, and also being kind of the outgoing creative type person that I've always been, I think it was becoming an issue in my life, and kind of a point where I didn't really see myself doing it for the next 20 years, you know? I feel like I had a bigger purpose, and not to crap on or shit on any construction workers out there. I think it's a very respectable job, and coming from a background in it, I can definitely appreciate how hard working those types of individuals are, but I just didn't really see it being my outlet. So, you know, I think to reminisce a little bit, dude, like I was over at your house, and I think I remember stopping by one day and having a very deep conversation about that path, because I was feeling very lost in that moment. And you really did inspire me that day by just motivating me to, you know, looking back on it, you were like, man, you're such a sociable person. You're such a creative mind, and you're a perfectionist in a lot of ways. And you kind of just showcased the opportunities you've created and succeeded in. And I think taking that into account definitely shaped my interest in barbering. And so, you know, again, just you as a mentor of mine, you were like, you know, I don't know if you remember that, But you were totally like, dude, if you're gonna do this, like you're gonna go to the school I went to, you're gonna learn the right way, and it's gonna be great. So I think that was all the motivation I needed to make a drastic change in my life. And the second I walked in that school, dude, I fell in love. I was kind of creeped out by all the mannequins staring at me every day, but you know, we get used to those things, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, dude, going back a little bit, I mean, I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Dude.
It's hard to believe that it's been like
six years? Yeah, crazy.
Honestly, like those were the days though. I think we were doing YouTube, right?
Of course.
Drinking lemon juice, eating hot sauce. Yeah. You guys seen the bomb or the show The Hot Ones? They have the bomb. We would do challenges with that, dude. Our stomachs would hurt for
and
hours.
we were so intrigued by that hot sauce because we'd watch that show almost every day. And it was just like the moment in the episode where every celebrity that's on the show was super like, oh my God, this is bad, you know? And it only got worse from there. So we decided to start there. But yeah, the YouTube journey was really fun, man. I think those were, like looking back on it, those were probably some of the best days that I ever had. I felt like the most creative, the most, I guess, self-influential. I was just super motivated to try new things and get passionate about content. And I think you really helped gear me into that avenue. So I'm grateful for that, dude. And I feel like those videos like kind of shaped the idea of me wanting to be so creative. And I think hopefully inspired you as well in some way, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. My content creation has solely derived from you inspiring me to do so.
Thanks, dude.
Every Monday, Isaac would come into my house and we would film YouTube videos. We would get crazy, do wild things. I think I waxed my armpit one time.
Dude, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Just you know, YouTube
bled.
stuff. Yeah,
you bled.
I did bleed.
You bled.
But ultimately, dude, you know, going into the craft, I mean, there's so much creativity flourishing from you, and you would tell me about how construction just wasn't your end all be all, and that it's tough work and you don't feel fulfilled, and you know, barbering is a creative's job, right? So for you, I was just like, man, you'd be a perfect barber, and you have the personable skills, the social skills. I mean, you're the light in the barbershop every single day, right? You got cracking jokes, you're friends with everyone. We just had the new guy come in and talk about how Isaac was the first one to have an emotional, deep conversation with him. And that's always the case every single time there's a new guy coming in. So, so you've been a barber for some time now. Like, where does that human connection for you like kind of come from?
Dude, you know what's funny about you asking that question is that's something I've actually been like delving into recently, if that's the right word. I think for me, I've always looked to just inspire others. And I think in just having any platform, not even just necessarily what people think these days about social media or you know, avenues of entertainment as an influencer or platform, I think it's super crucial to just inspire and love people and each other. I feel like we don't get a lot of that anymore in today's society. And I feel like at a young age, I really saw that in helping take care of my siblings and trying to instill a level of confidence in them. And I feel like that's what kind of gets me to be so loving and just passionate about other people's lives and their interests. And I think in learning and simply learning about other people's passions, you can learn so much about yourself and life. And I think that's a very big reason why I'm so passionate about the love for others and the love for socialization in general, you know? Yeah,
for sure. And you were able to kind of bring that into barbering in full, and people notice that, right?
Yeah, I think that's, to be honest, I don't really want to come off conceited or cocky in that way, but I think having that strength is really what allowed me to build a clientele base. And I think in just the way I entered the industry as a whole was one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? I think it was one of the most beneficial and the biggest milestones I've ever had in my life. And I can't really look back on it and understand how I got in that position, but I think regardless, I'm just grateful for it, dude. You know?
Yeah, man. And one of the things I want to touch on too is like, you know, you and I, when we get together, it's obviously like electric. You've been my best friend.
Yeah,
we've lived together since what, you were 14 or I was 14?
You were young. Yeah, I was young. Yeah.
And one of the things that I appreciate you for the most, honestly, is like the fact that I'm your older cousin. I don't have any brothers, right? I only have sisters, and you're the closest thing in blood and physical life that I have as a brother. So our relationship has always been like that brotherly love, right?
For sure.
But you've been my younger cousin, but I've always looked up to you and like how influential you are and how many people love your energy and like the things that you do with the content creation and all this stuff. And, you know, being able to actually turn things around for the first time and be like, you're here and we get to do this together right now. Like, it wouldn't be fitting if it wasn't you for this first episode. So
thanks, man.
So first off, thanks for being here.
Dude, of course. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to kind of dive into this. So hit me with the journey of barbering. I know you said you went to school.
Definitely.
But then tell us a little bit about how that went, and then like the next steps.
That was a unique process. And now that I look back on it, especially after you kind of bringing up the new guy, Joe, at the shop, and just seeing his process, I think in going to school was super beneficial in a lot of ways. I think I learned a lot of I think I learned a lot of the more important parts of the craft very fast, thanks to school. But in completing it in a year's time with 1,500 hours was something that I was super set on completing. But I think the DES and the state actually recognized barbering as a craft when I was about halfway through the schooling program. And it was kind of a tough decision there to go into or decide to want to do an apprenticeship, because the risk there was just restarting my hours and also not getting the book process and the education as far as like writing and understanding like the proper language and terms of barbering in order to pass a test. So that was definitely a big risk, but I think that being such a hardship was kind of a diamond forming under pressure moment, because it also working in a shop after that and making that final decision was super, it was super, I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Well, but just to give context here, one day this guy calls me and he's like, "Hey man, the DES is approving barbering as an apprenticeship," and for me, I'm like, "Okay, that's great. What's the word?" You know, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to restart my hours." I'm like, "Bro, you're halfway done with school. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "I would rather work in the shop and restart my hours completely than keep going to school because this place is rough." And let's be honest, dude, barbering school is rough.
It's rough. It's tough. It's rough.
You're in the pits, and I mean, dude, when it comes down to barber school, you don't have a clientele, and you have to wait for people to walk in, and the people that walk in are going in there solely because it's a $7 haircut, or it was at the time, right? Which generally, the people. I mean, I met a lot of great people there. I'm not going to downplay the whole thing, but there's a lot of, you want to put gloves on for that type of haircut.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so. There's a lot of downtime sitting around waiting.
Right.
I mean, you're solely there for hours. I mean,
it's 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day.
Like a job.
And you just have to complete 1,500 hours of school, which doesn't mean anything. You just have to complete 1,500 hours of school. So it's like, bro, this is rough. I did it, you did half of it. And then I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll get approved. And you ended up being the first apprentice out of Arizona ever to graduate from a barbershop apprenticeship program, right?
Yeah. So that was, so I think that's kind of one of the major points I was trying to make was knowing that fact was what pressured me so hard in trying to learn and be the best that I could be, also while trying to manage and navigate building a clientele so I could have sort of a safety net and moving into my full-time career after I graduated the program. And I don't think failure was an option at that point, because I had so much to lose and so much that I was grinding for. And so that was super imperative to me. It was very, very important for me to pass that first time. So, but again, dude, because of your mentorship and the hard love, and we could talk about that a little bit if you want, but that hard love was something that I have never seen again. But I think that's just, like you said, having that brotherly bond made it very easy to instill those little things in me. And it wasn't the love where you're slapping me on the wrist with a ruler when I would not run my half guard high enough.
What was it?
It was just like the throwing me in with the wolves and not accepting excuses as any part of the learning process. And I think that was something that I look back on today, and maybe there was moments where I was like, dude, Jacob's being such a dick today. Maybe he's just growing his business or he's doing this, but I'm so thankful for those moments, and now I kind of look back and see why that was the process. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the way that I learn is when it comes down to learning a new skill. I mean, I have to just throw myself in with the wolves, and he used that because it's like that's what I do, right?
For sure.
And so when he first started becoming an apprentice, he knew the basics of cutting hair, and I was just starting out as a barber shop owner. And so I was cranking haircuts out every half hour. I couldn't even sweep. I mean, there was mounds of hair on the floor. I'm like, next.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, hey, I need help with this haircut. I'm like, bro, if you stop me right now, I'm gonna be running 2 haircuts behind. It's gonna screw up my whole day. You know what to do, figure it out. You know, like just figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I trusted him, like I trusted him, right? And there was haircuts coming through that were just like skin fade, I mean, tough haircuts, just to keep it simple, right? And in my heart, I was laughing because I'm like, yo, to be in his position right now would suck.
It was tough, dude. It was really tough to try to sit and like, I'm struggling with it. So this is how I always took it, right? I'm struggling with this area of trying to learn. I want to give this person like the best product I know how to give. And it was just kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going on, like, or figure it out, right? You're just like, hey, I can't help you right now. Go figure it out. And then I would go back over and stare at the same problem. So I'm just sitting there kind of like, what the fuck do I do? I don't know. Okay, so then I guess I'm just gonna blindly do what I was trying not to do because Jacob doesn't have time. But in a weird way, I used the moments where you would say things like it's gonna put me 2 haircuts behind, or I use that in a weird way as motivation to help myself understand and figure those things out, and that's kind of why I go back to the being thrown in with the wolves, because I always kind of pictured myself being where you're at, and looking forward 6 years later, I'm there now, and I feel like my clientele it never ends. I feel like sometimes, and that's honestly something in this industry that can be challenging to any barber, right?
What have you found to be a struggle in the barbering industry for yourself?
Dude, I already have the answer to that question, and that's crazy, because I think the biggest hardship as a barber day to day is just simply having the mental capacity to socialize with so many people and maintain a level of passion towards somebody else. Does that make any sense?
Like how much energy you're giving each individual?
Yes, yeah, because I was always taught, and you instilled in me, that the person in your chair will always be the most important person in your life at that moment. And so how do you manage that, and how do you maintain that level of energy when the job itself can be so mentally exhausting, right?
Absolutely.
Because, you know, in having to, because they always say like 50% of the experience is the haircut, but 50% of the experience is also the socialization. I think it's such a big trend amongst barbers to build a rapport, or more than just a client-barber relationship with that person in your chair.
Absolutely.
But honestly, the double-edged sword to that is that it is an amazing craft, and it is an amazing job, because who could complain about making friends for a living, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think we could probably touch on the benefit of having so many resources at your disposal just by practicing that. Would you say you fall into that?
I mean, dude.
Like if your tire goes flat, you have someone to call. That's
Absolutely.
your friend.
I mean, every single day I'm putting people together, because my network of people is so wide. I have, air conditioning owner of a company. I have this guy that does this paint wheels, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is that you need, the barber knows.
Yeah.
And moreover, the thing that I love the most is that when people come to the barbershop for the first time, they're like, oh, I just moved to Arizona. And you're like, oh, I know what you gotta do. Here's a tip and trick about Arizona. Here's the cool spots. Here's the cool highlights that you should definitely indulge
100%.
yourself in to be a Phoenician, as you said,
Yeah, right.
And like that is a really cool thing to be able to
For
do,
sure.
Is to be the info for.
Exactly.
Would you say like the barber is like your best introduction to a new city?
Oh, dude, if you don't
100%.
know what to do, or if you're trying to figure out a new city, go to a barbershop, ask them.
Dude, like if I ever move to a new city, the first thing I'm going for is the barber. You know what I mean? There's a common saying in the barber world that I feel like is hilarious. I feel like I say it a little too often to my clients, but it's cheat on your girl before you cheat on your barber. And that's facts. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and there's so many funny videos out there that pertain to that exact message, and it's always funny to kind of put yourself in the position of that role. It's like there's a different type of relationship and loyalty that goes into this craft, right, Jake?
Oh, for sure, man. Going into that, dude, have you ever had like an experience where, you've had a client in the chair and you have messed up a haircut?
Oh, dude, yes. I think that feeling is to best relate that feeling of when you find, like when you swipe that clipper and you're just like, oh shit. The guy in your chair doesn't even know, and you have to hold your composure, and you have to sit there and think about the 4 million outcomes that could happen by the time he figures out that you just ran that guard up to his crown, right?
Do you get real quiet, or you try to talk?
No, so that's exactly where I'm trying to go with it. Is like, what is your reaction? Are you gonna sink it down and recluse and let him know that you just fucked up? Like because demeanor is everything, right?
That's the worst part, bro.
If your barber doesn't have confidence, then that client, there's no way he has confidence. So it's one of those situations where yes, I've always had the nightmares of fucking up a haircut. I think, am I allowed to cuss on your podcast? Dude, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've cursed like 6 times.
Get it. Say whatever you want.
All right. Well, anyway, I've always had those nightmares of messing up a haircut and how I would react in those moments. Obviously, there's this simple apology and just saying like, oh man, like this one's on me, bro, whatever. But I think that's a cop out. I think it's a sellout to not act as a professional and try to problem solve, right?
Absolutely.
So I think in that way, yes, I've definitely screwed up some haircuts. I've definitely taken people's arches a little too high sometimes, and maybe pushed back a couple hairlines in my process of learning. But I think that's what builds a character, and I think that's what builds a level of professionalism.
You got some thick skin, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yep. Dude. So I have a We're just building character, right?
Hey man, I'm gonna give you this haircut because you helped me build character.
Exactly. This is an even trade-off, dude. Thank you so much, but here's your shitty ass haircut that you can rock for the next 4 weeks.
I'm a better person.
Yeah.
And the next guy's not gonna get fucked up because you got fucked up.
So I know you're fucked up right now, but I am not. I feel like this was a very beneficial moment for me. How narcissistic is that?
Can you hit us with the story?
Oh yeah,
of, like,
so
the first
dude, one
you fucked
time,
up?
all right, man. I don't even want to tell this story, but I think it's for the sake of entertainment. So I had my first client come in with ethnic hair, and I was shitting my pants because it was not something, especially the school I went to or the demographic that I was like building naturally at the time, was just not a strong suit of mine. And this guy was talking about like his vertical bars, and he's like, all my barbers push my hairline back, and he kind of pointed to a reference area that he's like, look, like you can tell where my hair is like regrown and this, that, and the other.
Like right here.
Yeah, and of course I'm trying to be professional and be, like, oh, I got you, dude. Like, don't worry. You know how barbers do.
Back then
right?
we wore
like,
bow ties too, bro. So
yeah, we were all
little
dressed
bow tie.
up.
Yeah, man, I got
I'm
you.
sitting here acting like I'm like on par with this guy, like, and. Long story short, I totally started his lineup in the front, and he just closed his eyes. I was like, thank God, because now I'm like not pressured. But it was quite literally in an instance that felt like a full minute where I tapped his first line, and I think he just knew, like, I've never felt that before, and I ended up taking his hairline up about an inch from where it should have been. And I froze, and there was no coming back from that moment. I think both of us knew, and I just remember him doing this, dude. He totally he went like this to me. Come stand in front of me. I want to make this this is quite literally how he did it. Dude, I'll tell you what. That was probably one of the biggest, again, learning milestones that I've ever had in my career, and I think that was what was so powerful and learning so fast. But yeah, dude, I remember that story being a staple for sure, and that's one of many. But I think that's what builds a barber, and that's what helps you want to learn and be a better version of yourself. Because I don't believe in getting knocked down and staying down, right? We take those L's and we learn from those moments.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Getting inspirational on the barbers.
So, dude, honestly, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
What's up?
Because this is something that I've obviously been a part of and seeing your journey as like growing a business, right, in general. But I think if we're gonna be stuck on the barber topic, how was it building that business and also managing like a barber lifestyle? I feel like there has to be a trade-off there because you were so busy, and I always saw you being so busy all the time with trying to build this baby that you created. But there's still so much influence that happens in a barbershop with the people you work next to every day.
Yeah.
So how did you allow that influence to not affect the way that you, or in a positive way, did you let it affect the way you built your business? Or does that make sense?
Yeah, so the question is, how did I stay true to myself, basically, is what you're asking while building a barbershop?
Yeah, I guess it's a much better way to put it.
I mean, dude, honestly, going into the barbershop and building it, dude, this was just an idea that I had. And on an instance, I dropped out of college and went to barber school,
right,
you know?
Right.
And so I knew nothing about the industry, but going into building it, dude, I didn't know anything even know how to build a business. So I just took what I knew from working at a barbershop previously and just kind of implemented everything that I knew I needed, right?
Right.
And then going into the hiring stage of things, like it was just as simple as who can help me right now, right?
For sure. And what did you look for?
To be honest with you, I don't even know what to look for back then. Just somebody who was willing to be coachable and like on my team. That was it, you know?
A support system.
A support system, and I needed that, dude. So I think I've referenced this before, but the first guy that I hired was like almost 40 years old, or if not 40 years old. And I'm like this 24-year-old over here, like supposed to be his boss, but I was like asking him questions, right? And so it was one of those things for me where like I'm a throw myself in with the wolves kind of guy.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I truly mean that with everything inside of me right now.
Right.
And that is exactly what I did
with
building the barbershop.
Would you say there's strength in just going in blind sometimes?
I mean, yeah, but you have to be able to like outweigh the risk versus reward, right? Being 24 years old with, I didn't have a wife, I had a girlfriend at the time, no kids, no responsibilities. I think, I had a $700 car payment that time. Like that was like the biggest bill, which is dumb to this day. Like that's a silly thing to do, but back
Lesson
then,
of the day, don't buy new cars.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat right now. It's
like
horrible.
that was like my biggest priority was like making sure I could pay my car payment,
Dude,
Yeah. And so I knew that at the end of the day, like you just said, if I fail, I'm gonna do it again, Like there's not a lot of risk here except for the money that I had saved up, and if I lose it all, then I can build it back,
Yeah.
And so my risk versus reward was high. I knew that I could risk everything that I've made and done to build this out.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, then peace.
For sure.
I can always just go get a job again,
The L stands for learning, dude.
Learning, bro. And so I wasn't really about failing at that point. So I knew in my head, like, I was gonna make it work no matter what.
That's fair.
But there was a lot of moments, dude, to answer your question, where I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had to be influenced around people. I had to learn how to be the role that I was in, which was a barbershop owner, which, I mean, if anybody else is in here has ever felt imposter syndrome, like I was feeling that. I was young, younger than everybody in the room, but I was
24
the one
years old,
that was supposed to be running the show, Yeah, I was 24. And so that was rough, dude. I mean, it was rough. And I would go home and talk to my wife now. She was my girlfriend then. I would talk to her about, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And, the biggest support that I had was from her telling me that I can do this and that keep going and that, you are capable of all of the things you're doing right now. And so I just put my head down and got to work, bro. There was nothing that was going to stop me in those moments other than myself, and my wife now kept me going
for sure
in those moments.
Right.
So
would you say your immediate family was a big reason why you believed in yourself through all that, or was it more of a self-driven?
Knowing that at the beginning of you becoming an apprentice and leaving school, I thought it was a dumb idea, but risking that on your behalf also became a benefit to me because you and I having each other's backs, especially when you could handle your own in the chair and like weren't asking those questions, like it was like, all right, like there's somebody to lean on here.
For sure, definitely.
And so you were a big influence on me as I was a big influence on you in the right times in our lives. Yeah. And I think that's still the case today.
Dude, it always will be.
Yeah, I think that's still the case today. But dude, as you know, when you cut hair, you're pulling people's daily lives and bringing it home with you sometimes. You hear about this guy's wife died in a car accident, or this dude just got his big promotion at work, and it's sometimes great, sometimes bad, and sometimes you can't really shake it. And so
because that goes back to the relationship you build with a client. Like you learn over years to care so much for somebody and actually find passion in their passions and their lifestyles, and then to hear something like that is hard not to take home with you.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes I feel like that can also be one of the harder parts of the job, is just kind of like having to hear about the hardships that are out of people's controls sometimes, you know? We're good at giving advice, but how do you humor someone, or not even humor, how can you be there for somebody who's gone through something you might have never experienced before, with that weighing on your shoulders as a professional, you know? Because that is part of the job, and I think that can be something that helps you grow as a person in your own life, you know?
Man. And to be honest with you, dude, and I keep going back to your question, how did I stay true to myself?
Sure.
You're making my wheels turn here, because there's a lot of influence that is brought upon you with that. You know, a lot of people's energy is being dropped on you. You have to figure out how to manage that. You have to figure out how to not bring it home, or if you're going to, making sure you're choosing what you're going to bring home wisely. And there's a lot of molding into the people that are sitting into your chair. And I think naturally the people that start to come towards you and gravitate towards you as their barber are a lot like you. But at the beginning, you're being influenced and having to kind of chameleonize yourself into who the person in the chair is, so that they want to come back.
For sure.
You know, so it could be confusing, especially at the beginning of your barbering career. I think that you know that, because
100%.
you have to figure out what it means to be you. And like, there's a lot of time, I think, you know, I just now figured out who the hell I was, and I'm almost 30. You know? And it's a beautiful place to be, but it also took a lot to get there. You know?
I think that was probably one of the biggest, like going back to that question from earlier, just like what is one of the biggest hardships of being a barber, and that is like, I think that's a part of it, is I feel like I found myself and who I was through others and the craft itself a lot later than some people might, you know?
Right.
And so I think hardship within that idea can kind of tie into everyday life, you know?
Why do you think it took you longer than other people?
I think a lot of like preconceived ideas of what you want to be in life, and the way that like social media and other people in the way society has just been shaped, kind of forces your hand sometimes in what we believe we should be in all of those types of things. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I think I kind of fell into that kind of early on. I felt like I needed to shape myself to be this type of person for the collective, for my family, for my future, for the people that I'm, you know, that I love and I'm gonna love, right? But I think again, in just talking to so many people, gaining so many life lessons, and having mentors like you and even Jonathan, right? I think that leads me into the biggest point of growth that I've ever felt, is just surrounding yourself with what you want to be. And it's not necessarily who you want to be like or who you look up to. I think it's more of who has your best interests and who is going to help you see that growth within yourself. I think I've always gravitated towards the type of people who are real and honest and will tell you what you might not want to hear, because the truth is not always something that is a good pill to swallow. Sometimes it's hard. It's like one of those giant fucking rhino pills from the gas station. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that I've like ever taken them or anything, but I see them all the time, and I'm like, damn, I wonder what that's like. But no, man, I think just it's and I learned this from you. It's like you become a direct product of the 5 closest people in your life. You hang around 5 smokers, you're eventually going to pick up a cigarette, right?
Absolutely.
So I think in a lot of realizing that is what took me so long. And so I started really dialing into that idea and changing in my perception and perspective on what it means to be who you are and what you want to be. And that's just by me simply being around people who will tell me the truth, regardless of how hard that might be to hear sometimes.
And I know you just recently went through a pretty difficult time in your life, as far as like self-value and self-worth.
100%.
And trying to really figure out who you were.
Right.
I mean, what was it that really sparked that, like,
Yeah.
I'm over the hump now, I want to be who I am?
Dude, I think honestly, I think it's just this this change in the economy today. It's hard to kind of like really narrow in on the exact moment that changed for me. But I feel like in just feeling this pressure, like this financial pressure, not that I'm like necessarily struggling in any way, but I feel like in just feeling that financial pressure, I started asking myself naturally, like, why are you feeling this way, and what are you gonna do to change that? I feel like self-reflection was a big reason as to why I was able to figure that out, if that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure.
And so in that alone, I was just trying to ask myself why, and where have you started struggling that you might not be recognizing in this moment, you know? And a lot of that came from exactly what I was saying before, was just the influence. I feel like, you know, I took a little bit of a hiatus, as you know, from barbering for a little bit, because I kind of lost that directive of, you know, I felt like I was overly humoring people and kind of giving too much of myself for the sake of entertainment and trying to keep a clientele, right?
Yeah.
So not necessarily telling people what I'm worth, or like giving them the parts of me that I feel like could be beneficial to that person in that moment. It was more like asking what my worth was,
right?
In a way where I was like doing backflips for these people in hopes that they would just come back. Yeah, 100%.
A jester.
Exactly, and that's truly how I felt. And so that was a big key moment that I kind of lost myself, and that happened in a blink of an eye, it felt like. And I feel like in life it's so easy to get caught up in those things, but it's just about how you come back and who you come back as is the most powerful thing, right?
Absolutely.
So I can't really give you an exact moment that changed for me, but I had an epiphany one morning. I woke up and I was like, dude, I'm kind of like not happy with the person I'm seeing in the mirror right now. And it really made me reflect on what that could be and why. And it really stemmed from the influence I had from the people around me at that time.
You weren't spending as much time at the shop those days, were you?
No, not at all. And I think that's, in a weird way, that's what snapped me back into reality and understanding that, dude, like, this is who I am. Like, I've become the individual I am today and the most passionate version of myself today because of this industry. And in running away from that was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made. So I guess if there was a message I'm trying to convey, it's just stick through the hard times, you know, in anything that you do. If you're passionate enough and you feel like you take more than you can give from what you're doing day to day, stay with that through hardships and don't run away from who you can become, you know?
Yeah, man, I think that, you know, especially in this industry, I mean, we're in the service industry and there's a lot of service-based industry employees and people out there that give a lot and don't really feel like they get that same return. I mean,
100%.
Use waitresses and waiters for an example. I'm sure like they get treated poorly sometimes from customers that don't necessarily realize what they're doing to that person. They're kind of beating them down and degrading them, when in reality they're there to serve you. They're giving you their time and attention.
100%.
And I'm not sitting here saying poor us for being barbers, because I love what I do, you love what you do.
100%.
Not sometimes there's those haircuts, those people, that energy, the worth of yourself internally. Like, what is this? Am I getting what I'm giving? You know?
Exactly.
And I think we all go through that in our career, dude. And I don't think that it's a bad thing that you did. I think actually it's a positive, because in my reality, the worst emotional dark times in my life has been like a lotus in mud, right? Like, it's like I've grown so much through those experiences that I wouldn't trade those ones for anything, you know?
And to be honest, Jacob, like, I feel like though I was speaking more on the negative side about that part in reflection, I think I'm more thankful for that happening to me, if anything. Because I feel like if that was to never be a realization in my life, and I wasn't to have gone down that path, I wouldn't be exactly where I stand right now. And it's not just even within the industry. Again, I feel like this industry helps you become who you are outside of it as well. And I think just having that realization is what has put me in this new position and this new grind of working harder, seeing my visions and outlining like what it is that I want to be and who I want to be. And through you, dude, and just being the mentor that you are to me, I realized like one of the biggest questions you asked me during our kind of resolve moment was, would your son or daughter be proud of the person that you are right now? And I couldn't confidently answer that in a positive way. And so I think that's really what shifted my whole focus on what it means to be a barber and what it means to be the best version of myself and what I have to give to the people around me every day. And that is clients, you know, and my family and my friends and everything I'm trying to build, you know.
I'm proud of you for that, dude.
Thanks, dude.
I'm gonna shift for a second because that kind of sparked a big thought in my head, because it's really that same question I asked you is what I've been asking myself every single day. I went through a period of time just recently, just like you, where I was, maybe not living the life that I should have been, with my mentality, my diet, my exercise, my self-image, my, looking in the mirror and saying, I'm not proud of who you are, but I don't care because it's who I am,
Exactly.
And not having that initial spark to say, hey, I want to be a better version of myself, or I can be a better version of myself,
100%.
right? And you kind of fall into this line of self-loathing, and it just keeps going and going. And, maybe externally I wasn't necessarily showing that, but confidence is a completely different thing than internal self-worth.
For sure.
And if I can give anything to the audience now, that is, I think, another thing that you found.
Absolutely, 100%.
And what saved me was my son, who's almost 4 now.
I love Leo, dude. He's so cute.
Yeah, he calls him Uncle Mike. When he was a kid, he didn't understand Ike. We call him Isaac Ike. And he goes, Uncle Mike. And so we just went with it. He still calls him.
Going from Ike to Mike is a huge downgrade.
Yeah, it's a huge downgrade. Dude, I felt like the most generic, not to bring race into it, but I felt like the biggest white boy that I think I've ever felt.
Uncle Mike!
Yeah. I felt like that cookie cutter Joe on The Bachelorette.
Every white family has an Uncle Mike, dude. All right, so what I was saying though is, my kid being more conscious every day, and almost looking at me sideways if I was, a little bit tipsy, or if I had smoked a joint, and not that I'm doing drugs around my kid, but that's just a thing, it was just I could sense that he could sense that I was different. And it really hit me hard one day where I was like, dude, this kid deserves the best of me. And I can't give him that when I'm altering my mindset, or I'm running away from my problems, or I'm in this deep emotional state about something that happened to me in my past that has nothing to do with my life today. And I'm stuck on it. And because I'm there in my head, mentally, physically, my kid doesn't get me. He just gets half of me, or whatever percentage I can give that day.
In that moment.
And so I started exercising. I started, eating right again. I started really doing the things that got me to where I'm at today, which was self-development, reading books, absorbing information instead of just mindlessly scrolling on social media. And honestly, that kid has really turned me around. And the fact that the question I asked you, which I'll be honest, I don't even remember asking.
No, that's okay. But isn't it crazy how we can find the same resolve within our own life experiences that are completely separate from one another?
Yeah, dude.
I don't have any children, and I don't have that responsibility of having my own blood, right? In my life. But it's funny that we both came to that same conclusion and help better ourselves simply because we choose to reflect and look within ourselves first in order to grow in that way. Does that make sense?
100%.
So it's kind of crazy the way that life happens every single day. And I think that's just always something that's going to be one of my biggest motivations, and my biggest point of influence in anybody is just to find truly who you are, and don't worry so much about what other people have to say, do, or desire for you, because that's not what is going to get you there. Does that make sense?
Dude.
Obviously, look up to the people you care about, and I think somebody told me one time, don't ever take advice from somebody you wouldn't trade lives with right now.
That's huge.
And that's one of the most impactful things that I have personally heard in recent times, because again, it just directly applied to the point I'm making now. It's just live in your moments, be selfish when you need to, because it's not a negative thing to be selfish sometimes. And that's something that I definitely had to learn the hard way, because I feel like in being as selfless as I've always been my whole life, it started to really take a toll on my general day-to-day lifestyle, and just feeling overly exhausted and drained. And just be present with yourself and the people you love, and you'll find yourself exactly where you need to be,
Dude, life advice from my man Isaac here. Dude, beautifully said. That was sick, honestly.
Yeah. I don't even know why I have these motivations in me, but
well, the truth is, dude, barbers are emotional people. We're artists.
Yeah, dude, I fucking cry on the way home listening to Marvin's Room almost every day after work.
No, honestly, dude, we're around a bunch of testosterone every single day. generally most barbershops have men in them. And so,
but shout out to the female barbers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We love you guys. You guys kill it.
But the truth is, like, when we're all around men, we can't bring those insecurities out. Otherwise, you get fucking reamed, with no lube, especially in a barbershop, And so, like, when you have time to just sit there and like think about how you feel for the first time in 8 hours, it's like. Oh, shit.
I think that's what sucks so much sometimes is like you kind of realize after 10 hours, 12 hours of working so hard and again, talking to so many people, you're just like, holy shit, like, have I even eaten today? Like, how do I feel? Is my body okay? Is my mind okay? Like, who and what am I gonna do after this? Like, you don't really get those moments a lot,
And then I come in, get back to work.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. You're like, do your damn job, nerd.
You feel like all barbers cry on the way home?
Probably.
I mean, if they're listening to Marvin's room, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Well, okay, that's just an add-on. I feel like it just kind of helps me get it all out, But it's like you could listen to anything. Like there's a lot of,
You could cry to anything.
Yeah. Like listen to the most popular song in the Nutcracker, dude. That shit'll get you going. That shit. You'll start bringing up past traumas that you never thought you had. It'll really fuck you up. It fucks with a man.
So, you being so into like the urban culture, music, movies.
Oh, dude, music is my shit.
Like, what are you on right now?
I would say like primarily. So growing up, dude, my brother, like I grew up in the like the punk rock, like hardcore scene. Going to Warped tours, local shows, like doing like moshing, kicking people's chests in, stuff like that. Cause dude, I don't know if you've ever thrown an elbow, but that's one of the best feelings ever when you're always pent up,
Yeah.
But like growing up around that, like it was always my brother's passion. He's my older brother is always who brought me around that scene. So I feel like later in life, still at a young age, I found myself wanting that sense of my own identity. And so I started gravitating towards synthetic music, if that makes sense, like hip hop, right? Like beats made on a board, not on an instrument.
Right.
And I think for me, that's what really stemmed my interest in like hip hop music. So I'd say primarily today, I would say if someone was like, what is like one genre of music, if you could listen to that for the rest of your life, what would it be? It'd probably be hip hop. I think I've always been big into style and fashion, and though there's so many different outlets of that, I feel like the streetwear style and the, things like that have always been influenced by my love for hip hop. But other than that, dude, nowadays, again, with just growing so much and just being more open-minded to a lot of different things, dude, like if I showed you my playlist right now, it's like fucking 2008 Rihanna to like Michael Jackson to like, G Herbo, and there's just so many different, I listen to reggae and some country, honestly.
Okay, a little Tim McGraw or what?
Oh, Dust on the Bottle, you know what I mean? Dust on the bottle.
So if you had like a influence in your life from hip hop, I mean, where are you going with that?
If I had an influence, holy shit, that's a good question. Yeah, so I'd say like a big influence, who was like a big influence to me growing up? I know this sounds really weird, but I think I get a lot of my creative outlet, like early on, I guess, when I was creating that sense of identity, one of my favorite artists that I feel like inspired me in a lot of different ways was Lil Wayne.
Okay.
I mean, obviously he's like one of the goats in hip hop, but Lil Wayne for sure, like, I think just what he had to offer to the game, and then like introducing artists like Drake and what they were able to do for hip hop, and just seeing how different his music outlet was when he was creating, just kind of like inspired me to accept myself and being different with what I want to create in my own way, if that makes sense.
For sure.
And so I feel like in some way, shape, or form, I kind of got my courage for creating in just accepting the fact that being different with what you're creating is what people attract to. Authenticity, right? Because at that time growing up, being so passionate about listening to music, especially hip hop, I hadn't heard anything relative to what, Lil Wayne was doing at the time.
Right.
And that's kind of weird. I don't exactly know how I got to that point, but I guess I could definitely owe it to that as an influence if I was to talk about one.
Would you consider one of the most famous and most influential lines from Lil Wayne being, I don't drink champagne, it make my stomach hurt.
No, I think to be honest, it was like, get the fuck up out of my bedroom, confusing me with questions like.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I think that one definitely hits home.
I love you guys. Which Lil Wayne lyric?
Yeah, like what really like sent it home for you, you know? Yeah.
Your heart.
Yeah.
What Lil Wayne lyric is in your heart?
Yeah. But no, I think that was definitely a powerful influence for me, I guess, growing up. But what about you? In music
man,
alone,
dude,
like
I was all over the board, bro. I was like,
dude, you were, okay, wait, I remember this. You were definitely a big Wiz Khalifa guy.
oh yeah, dude.
You loved Wiz Khalifa.
Wiz was my guy, dude.
And I will say, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that the Taylor Alterdice mixtape or EP
Best.
is like one of the biggest hip hop masterpieces I've ever heard in my life to this day.
I love that Wiz,
Every
bro.
single song on
That
that
was right after-
mixtape is just,
That was right before he stopped caring. He's like, I'm rich now. I don't need to make great music.
I'm rich, bitch.
I just make it to make money now.
Yeah. Remember when you almost met him?
Yeah, dude. I was in Vegas one time at a place called Marquee Day Club.
Yeah.
And I walk in. It's not super busy. And this is actually, what is this? 2016. And
Damn.
bro, I look to my left and Wiz is just sitting there at the pool by himself. But he's sitting at like a canopy, right? So he
Right.
bought that area. You can't really just go to that area. And he's just sitting there and I'm like, yo, what the heck? Like, I'm a fan, you know, but I'm not gonna try and fanboy out right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna try and like actually just like make my way to him, you know? Like
Yeah.
in a chill way, in a chill, like slide over there. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, there's a pool, like a mini, like individual pool in between us. If you've ever been to Marquee, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to the DJ and I'm like, you know, doing some of those.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Like, hey.
Dude, so I actually have a funny story. I thought I met Tim McGraw one time. It's funny that you said his name earlier, but I was just like at a gas station up north because I had to piss or whatever. You know how it goes when you drive like 3 hours and you guys make a pit stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, sir, can I take a picture with you? And I tried to take a picture with him. He was totally down to take a picture with me. And I was like, it was so nice to meet you. Like, I'm such a big fan of yours. And he looked at me super weird. And I was like, he's like, well, thank you, but my name's Daryl. It's nice to meet you. I was like, oh, fuck, you're not Tim McGraw. Like, that's fucking crazy. But it was totally like Arizona cowboy hat, jean. I was like, damn, I could have sworn it was him.
He probably thought you were trolling him. All right, going back to like me going into Wiz. Like,
yeah, sorry, dude. I didn't interrupt you on that.
So I hit him with a couple of those, and then, you know, finally it was getting a little busier. So he had like girls that up there, and so right before he got up, I looked at him and I just mouthed to him. I was like, can I come up there with you? And I was like, yo, I did it. Like, this is it. I'm gonna go chill with Wiz right now. And he looks at me, he goes, I was like, fuck, dude, what? Damn, now I gotta go this whole day with him, like, you know, whatever.
Well, dude, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
So I wasn't done yet, bro.
But you also miss 100% of the shots you do take. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't done though. We made our way into the table next to him. Then Chevy Wood shows up. Taylor, the whole Taylor gang was there, right?
That's so sick.
And then next thing you know, LMFAO was at the table right in between us. So I had Wiz Khalifa and Taylor gang here. I'm here with all this, like, I don't know who these guys are, but we made our way up there. And then LMFAO's over here like, shots. And I'm like, wow, they're really doing that. Like, that's like, they're actually doing that, you know?
Dude, I bet if you did the Party Rock anthem dance, you would have been at the table for sure.
You know, the biggest win of that day was that I got to talk to Chevy Woods.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he was chill about talking to me and hanging out. And,
what?
But yeah, Wiz.
Be honest, did you smoke with him?
Nah, dude, no, not my thing back then.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, so that was it. That was the time that I almost met Wiz Khalifa.
That's a good story. It still holds up. That's fun.
All right, dude. As far as like, you know, any closing thoughts on what you want the audience to know about you and what you're trying to portray, any messaging, anything you have going on, follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, dude, that's a good one, I guess, for a closing statement. I actually just, after 2 years, decided to make my social media appearance again. So I had a weird history of kind of not liking the idea of using it as an entertainment source, just because I feel like you get fed a lot of false information and stuff. I'll save you the spiel of that, but I realized how important it is to use it, especially in an industry like barbering, as a tool to promote yourself, because I think it's a very big part of letting the world know that you're here, and building yourself as a business and a brand. But I think the most important thing that other than that is to just build yourself always. But yeah, I'm back on social media. I have an Instagram. It's Ike, IKE.AN cut.
Say it right there.
IKE.AN cut, C-U-T.
Nice. So,
What do you feel like is a better barber, you or?
Oh shit.
dude, you're gonna
Dude,
put
that's
us
tough.
on like that?
That's super tough. No, okay, so here's the thing though. I will always say Jacob is better than me because he is my mentor, right?
And then I'll always say that the apprentice always outshines the mentor. So.
And that's just like one of those back-to-back questions that I feel like we'll never truly be able to answer, but like, I give you a fucking run for your money.
I think we both have individual skills that neither one of us have.
For sure.
You know, I
Like-
think that your fades are just insane and they're
Thanks,
so
bro.
blurry,
You
bro.
mean that?
It's like going to Niagara Falls, dude, and you're just like, whoa, you know, like that's faded.
Oh yeah, like
right?
damn, I need to up my prescription because this shit's blurry type
Yeah,
of shit.
exactly,
Fuck
exactly.
yeah. Dude, but I would say like where you shine, that I just for some reason feel like I just suck. I don't know how else to say that, but you're like a shear master, and your fucking razor work is just something I've never been able to get under. Like the way you just, it almost looks like you're passionately making love with that razor when you touch it to someone's skin.
That's dope. Another Niagara Falls
Yeah, I guess when I
reference, you know
said
what I
it,
mean?
now that I think about it, like that was not a good way to say that out loud. Making love to a razor does not sound fun.
What's a crazy moment you and Isaac share together that you guys always bring up when you're together? Getting in trouble.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
I want to hear yours first.
Oh, dude, I mean, I'm trying to think of like a good one.
Oh, dude, I'll go for it.
Go for it, dude.
Okay. So there was a point in time where Isaac he never smoked weed in his life. And so he had opened up to the idea at this point in his life, and it was after he was already an apprentice, living in my house. Like, we were spending a lot of time together, and is that cool if I tell the story?
The
casino?
Yeah, that shit sucked. I'll tell the story if you want.
We could tell it together.
Yeah. Okay. So from my perspective, we were about to go to the casino. We worked our asses off one week, and it was just like, dude, let's do something cool. Like, you know, his now wife was like, yeah, like I'm gonna be gone tonight, and Jacob and I were just like, let's fucking do something fun. So. I was again opening my mind to like certain things. I never really believed in gambling, but he brought up the casino, and I was like, it'd be fun. I don't really know how to gamble, but I'll go watch you gamble. And like,
no, you hit me with the let's go to the casino.
Did
I've
I
never
say
been.
that to you?
Yeah. And so here's the deal. He had tried it and he liked it, and so I was all excited. A big stoner at the time. I had these 2.5 milligram mints, okay, that were edibles.
Dude.
That I didn't tell him were edibles. I was like, yo, have one of these mints. So he ate one. He's like, yo, can I get another one? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. My goal was to like be like, haha, you're high, you know, and like him just be like, oh, this is cool. Well, we had
no, fuck no, it was not cool. There was nothing fucking cool about that.
So we end up going to the casino. Now, we had already worked all day that day. We didn't eat.
Dude, there was so many factors.
We were
From my
smoking a vape
perspective,
at the
I didn't eat
time.
lunch that
Nicotine was
day.
involved. And
Yeah.
I told him about oxygen being pumped in casinos to keep you awake, and how
Dude.
they don't have windows and all this
Dude.
shit. And so he drank 2 beers. Unbeknownst to me, this motherfucker's sitting here looking at the beer, saying like, "What the
Dude,
hell?"
I was in a moment where I was watching. He was playing some table game. I don't know if it was like blackjack or something.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and this is when it hit me. This was the crucial moment. But I was standing next to him, watching him play the game, and I could not make sense of what the fuck was going on for the life of me. And I just felt so weird. So I took it upon myself to ask the dealer how does this work or what's going on. She looks at me and starts just want, and I'm sitting there and I'm engaging with her like, yeah. But in my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you saying to me right now?
I looked at him, I'm like, dude, it's 21.
Yeah,
It's
just go to 21. And I'm like, yeah, easy for fucking you to say. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me.
You haven't been drugged by.
Yeah, dude, I've never been drugged before in my life.
I was looking for the stoned eyes. I was looking
Dude.
for the red. I was
Yeah.
looking for that moment to be like, aha,
Yeah.
you know? But I didn't get that moment, okay? So we keep going, and I forgot to mention that I ate one of those mints too, so I almost forgot that I was even in the midst of doing this, right?
So I have a beer in my hand at this moment when I'm just like, what the, and I remember like going to throw my beer away, and I just remember looking at it, and I'm like, is there something fucking special in this? Like, why do I feel so, like, am I drunk right now? Because this shit is fucking hitting me hard. And so Jake, I guess, like, I don't know if he saw me, but I'm just standing by the trash can, like, staring and, like, reading my beer for what felt like 10 minutes. But I guess it could have been moments, and I just ended up throwing it away. But towards the end of the night, again, there were so many factors at play. Like, I didn't eat anything all day. I was using nicotine at the time, and it was just like a dehydration. There was just so many different variables that affected that happening. And then I just remember standing next to him. Our buddy came and met us, and I was watching them, and I just was like, Jake, I don't feel good, dude. Like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
He said, I want to go home. I was like, all right, one more hand.
Yeah, and he's like, then we can just go eat. Like, we'll go eat something, because you're probably just like, you haven't eaten all day.
So I turn around and I place one more hand, and all I hear is boom. And I would look, and Isaac is on the floor, passed out. Like, he fainted. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I gave him edibles. And so, so I go and I grab his neck, and I'm like, yo, wake up. Isaac, wake up.
Dude, and from my perspective, I don't remember anything. Like, it just was like, I felt like I blinked my eyes, and I might have just been like standing there with my eyes closed type of thing. But I just remember opening them, and it was like a fucking movie scene. There was just like 3 people standing over me, and Jacob's like, Isaac!
Dude, it was so dramatic. I was like, Isaac! I thought he was gonna die. And so at this point, there's a circle of people around us, right? And it's like, I'm waking him up. Somebody says, hey, don't shake him or touch him. He might have broke his neck. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, shit, I killed my cousin, And so he wakes up, and I'm like, yo, dude, you fainted. Are you good? He's like, yeah. And he's like really out of it. And so I'm like, all right, get up. Like, let's get the fuck out of here. And so I put his arm around me, and like we walk out. In my head, I'm like, dude, I only gave him 5 milligrams. That's like nothing, dude. And he's like a 200-pound mule. Like, how in the hell is this affecting him so hard, dude? And so we walk out, and then the casino security goes, yo, we reviewed the footage, and he hit his head. We legally have to medically check him before you guys leave the property. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So they pull over. We get outside. We pull over to the side. He randomly knows the security guard from high school.
The guy who examined me, I went to one of my many, many schools with. Yeah. I just like knew the guy. He was like, Isaac? I was like, Eduardo? What the fuck? What's up, dude? He's like, so you fainted, huh? I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then eventually Jacob just was like, dude, I'm sorry, man, I drugged you. And I was like, oh, I'm just fucking high. I thought I had a concussion. I was like, let's fucking go back to the casino. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
So he's checking him out, and the guy's like, all right, well, how do you feel? He's like, I feel fine. I just feel like I'm dreaming. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's because you're fucking high, but I'm not gonna say that right now. And I can't, there's too many things going on in the variants. I'm nervous, I'm stoned. I'm like, shit, I fucked up so bad that I can't let this like out yet, And they're like, well, you should be going to the hospital if you feel like you're dreaming. And I'm like, nope, he's good. Isaac's like,
because they're like concussion, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might be, you hit your head or whatever.
Isaac's like, no, like if they think I should go to the hospital, I should go. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to just save you 50 grand right now, dude. You don't need to go to the hospital.
It was like one of those dad moments where he's like, shut the fuck up
and just come with me. Yeah, like come with me.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there just like, nah, bro, I think I should.
So the whole ride home, dude, I don't say anything because I'm like feeling so guilty. Obviously, I shouldn't be feeling that way because I didn't tell him what he ate. And I get home, and my wife is 8 months pregnant at this time. And I go into the room. He goes into his room because he lived with me. And I go, babe, how much do you love me? And she goes, a lot. Why? I was like, good, because I fucked up tonight. She's like, what did you do? I was like, I gave Isaac edibles, and I didn't tell him, and he fainted. He's like, my wife goes, wait, verbatim, when are you gonna grow up? You're about to be a dad. I'm like, I know, I should have done it. And so I was like, do I tell him or do I just leave it alone? And she goes, you need to go in that room right now and tell him what you did. I was like, okay, I will. So I marched up. I was like, hey, Isaac. Like, kind of did.
And I'm laying there planked, just like trying not to fall asleep. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die, dude, if I fall asleep right now. I was like, I'm so fucking scared right now.
I was like, so remember those mints that you ate earlier? He's like, yeah. He's like, those were edibles, and that's probably why you fainted. He's like, you're telling me I'm fucking high right now? I was like, yeah. He's like, why the fuck did we leave? I'm like, dude, what? You're not mad at me? He's like, no, bro. You wish you told me that before. I'm like, I was waiting for the moment. You fainted too soon.
Because it was all the moments where I'm sitting there like scared because I was just like, oh, dude, I shouldn't have been so fucking worried. What are we like? What happened?
So he ended up drinking beer, being at the casino in a new environment, being stoned without knowing, and all those thoughts and obviously the physical aspect of it just made him faint. He panicked and fainted, and that's the time that I drugged my cousin.
So moral of the story, don't fucking drug people. That's not fun. That's not a good thing to do. And nothing good comes from it ever.
It wasn't an intentional drug, okay?
No, I know your intentions weren't that, but it's funny. It's now that we look back on it and reminisce, it's funny. I hated you for like 2 days, but I forgave you super fast. Dude, thank you, man.
Go check it out.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate you having me on, dude. That was sick. That was super fun. How am I looking? Good? Where we at? Ooh, I feel good. I feel good, I'll tell you that.
Love you, dude.
Love you, dude. Thank you so much. Oh, that was a great episode, I feel like.
All right, don't walk off camera.
Love you, dude.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to follow our socials, right down here and the link in the description. If you don't mind liking the video, it'd mean the world to us getting this out. If you're watching this, you are a part of this just as much as we are, and we appreciate you gratefully. And then if you don't mind subscribing, that'd be awesome too. Enjoy the content, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.